slap it around. Got to show it who's boss.
Absolutely. Yeah. All right. Well, morning, everybody, and welcome. And especially Mike Cushman, since you've already given us a comment. There we go.
Hey, Mike, how's it going?
So welcome to Talking Niagara on November 20th, 2025. And okay, so first off, Carney heads to the U.A.E. to sign an investment pact with the Gulf nation.
Oh, you're going to start with that one right away? Oh, yeah, I think that's a good one to start with. So here we go. We this puts out a lot of things like what he's trying to do is he's trying to go there and sort of tell them that Canada's a great place to invest, and it'd be great for your sovereign wealth fund. You see, U.A.E. has what? What does it have? It has a lot of sand and it has oil. So once the oil's gone, what's going to happen? Okay. So they know that there is a particular time limit on their oil wealth, and that might go on for another 100 years. But in the meantime, they're going to have to do what a lot of other countries have done and taken their money and invested it. Norway is probably the best example of that, where they've taken their oil wealth and invested it in their own citizens, the taxes of it. But the U.A.E. here is going to have sovereign wealth funds, and it has to prepare for the future, the day there is no more oil. And what better place to invest that oil money is right here in Canada, where you can get all kinds of minerals. You can invest in all kinds of businesses. It's a safe place. It's a safe place to do business. You're not going to find missiles flying around. You'll find a rather large orangutan yelling at you once in a while from south of us. But aside from that, it's a great place to put your money.
And the other thing to note about this is actually a stopgap on while he's heading to the G20 in South Africa.
Yes. Right. Now, what are the problems with this? And now I ask anyone who is listening, what might be the problems with allowing U.A.E.?
We're both oil nations, right?
Well, we won't be competing because there's not enough oil, so that's not a problem.
Yeah.
We won't be competing with oil because our markets are completely different.
Yeah. But so it's not that; it's other produce that we do that the U.A.E. require, and of course, that's one of the things that the Saudi government, the U.A.E. government, and others in that general area are doing is they're diversifying their industry, aren't they?
They're trying to, but you've lived in an Arab country that's been poor for a while and then suddenly being rich, like I did when I was in Libya.
Yeah.
To take that population and then suddenly retrain them for modern things, that's really, really difficult. And what tends to happen if they have talented people, like say you got a Saudi Arabian or a Libyan who goes to university in the West, they tend to stay in the West thereafter. Same as in Africa too, different countries in Africa. So they don't sort of tend to come back. So what is left is a country that is still fairly backward. It has, you take a country like Libya or U.A.E. or Saudi Arabia, depends hugely on outside technology and workforces to produce it and sell its oil for it. Yeah. And they make the wealth, but their country still hasn't changed much. Their own country, they don't have enough accountants, they don't have enough engineers, they don't have any enough of this stuff to do it themselves. Not yet, anyway.
Yeah. Well, but that will come.
You would think, but it takes time. Now, the biggest problem with U.A.E. investing in Canada is the fact that they're mixed up in one of the two sides in the southern in the Sudanese wars. I don't know which side they're supporting. I think they're reporting the Rapid Support Force of the RSP or as RSF, which in any other words would be the Janjaweed. I don't know. I think it's though that's the side they're supporting in this in the wars and
that looks to be the case, yeah.
And that is a brutal war. We don't get a whole lot of it here because it goes on forever, and you've got mass starvation and all the most brutal things and god awful atrocities and things of that kind. So if you're asking the U.A.E. which brutal side do you support? Why do you support them? And Canada cannot play the game of being we won't work with you because you're not nice. We used to be able to do that because we knew we were going to always be selling stuff to the U.S. We can't lay judgments on them. We can't say, well, you're not a very nice nation. You're supporting the brutality that's going on in South Sudan. So we don't want to trade with you. We don't want your investment. That ain't going to happen anymore.
Yeah. And countries like U.A.E. Have had a long record of not being, not actually being good on human rights.
Well, they meddle in the countries in and around them. They do what every other country does, like the United States does. Look, the United States meddles all the time. The United States gives every kind of bomb going to Israel so it could kill some Palestinians, and looks the other way every time there's a human rights thing going on. Even when their own journalists are killed in Israel, as long as they're an Arab American, then they don't even care much about it, which is complete hypocrisy. And then, but of course they're going to meddle, and I don't know why the U.A.E. is meddling in Sudan. I just don't know what interest they have there. But you saw that the United States meddle in Vietnam and Indochina, meddled in Guatemala, it's meddled in Ecuador, El Salvador. It had that kind of thing. It just does because it's a power. France has meddled in West Africa forever. And once it got kicked out but before that, it also meddled in Southeast Asia. So countries meddle in other people's affairs for whatever reason gives them an advantage. I don't know why the U.A.E. is meddling in the Sudan thing, but it is a brutal thing that's been going on for year after year after year. You would think U.A.E. with the kind of money they have would be able to broach some kind of peace thing going on, but instead it decides it's going to support one side over the other. I don't know what advantages it gets to do that, but nowadays we used to be able to say, look, you support bad people in Sudan, so we will not trade with you. We're above that.
We haven't got
not anymore.
Doing that
not anymore. We can't make those kind of decisions anymore.
Yeah, absolutely.
We have to trade for practicality, and hope. And in the article it says that hopefully through sort of just our influence, we may be able to influence the country we're trading with a better idea of human rights. Well, I'm not so sure that's the case, but anyway, what we want is their money.
They're saying one of the critics is saying that if the Prime Minister is going to sign this agreement with the U.A.E., it at least should include a condition that the country cease backing the RSF.
So it is the RSF. They're AKA the Janjaweed. Anyway, so really, they're brutal. They're absolutely brutal. They are. This just the Janjaweed, and this is just a mask for farmers versus herders, Arabs versus Africans. It's like brutal. Yeah, we don't know, but we're not going to be able to do that. Guess what? We want you to invest in our country. We want have $500 billion. You come here and invest in our country because it's a safe country to buy. Oh, and by the way, We're going to tell you what to do. You're not going to be. We don't want you to do it. Help
Well,
the RSF anymore. We don't want you to do this. We don't want you to do that. We want more liberation for women in your country. And if you do all those things, we'll let you invest in our country. Yeah, that goes over.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, things might be imperfect, but I get what they're basically doing here is they've got to start signing deals.
That's right. And unfortunately, they've got to turn their back on some of the nastiness that goes on in the world. Unfortunately, they may be able to try to influence the U.A.E.
Well, you see, if you can get a trade agreement first off, you can then start to influence those things, I think is Carney's thinking.
I don't think it's his thinking at all. I think it's his thinking that it is an awkward situation that they have to go now look for investment in places they didn't normally have to do. That means you have to go to the wealthy Gulf states. They have lots and lots of money, and they're willing to invest. However, they're also vested in the regional wars, and in this case, the Sudanese war. But you know what? When the Americans invested here, we didn't tell them, oh, well, you better get out of Vietnam or you're not allowed to invest here. Did we do that?
No.
We didn't do that, did we?
No.
You know?
Yeah, absolutely. All right.
So anyway, he's searching for investment. It may be awkward, but we do have to remember that our biggest investor was the United States, and it was involved in some of the worst machinations, geopolitical machinations, Vietnam. The United States supported the Khmer Rouge, for crying out loud. You know, if you ever been to Cambodia, you know how foolish that was. Germany also, so the geopolitics here is just mind baffling. I would say get the U.A.E money, get it invested in Canada, and let the U.A.E do what it wants. If we have problems with what it does, we can make that known. But in the meantime, offer them great places to invest their money, and maybe that will help them, I don't know, stave off some of maybe that will take some of the money they're investing in this war out of that and into Canada.
So Dave, quick one down there. Back in town, let's do lunch Friday, says Gary.
Gary, yeah, I think I could do that. I think I could do that. I got some stuff to do Friday, but I got friends coming in Friday around noon. So we'll have to wait till next week, and Saturday I got to go. So yeah, okay, I'll get contact with you later, Gary. Yeah, I got friends coming down for that express purpose to go sort of for lunch before we go to a sort of a school reunion thing we have every year.
Okay. Any final words on this U.A.E deal?
No, I only know that they have money. We need money. They want to invest, and they have a sovereign wealth funds. And if they want to strengthen their sovereign wealth funds, this is a good place to put the money. It's safe if you invest it in the right places. It's going to be a return for your country, and it's a lot better than spending it on the Sudanese wars.
Yeah. Exactly. The only other thing is, of course, we'll then be looking forward in the next few days to the G20 in South Africa.
Well, yeah, there'll be a lot more chatting going on there. I think Carney's kind of in his element here. He's been a banker, the head of the Bank of England, the head of the Bank of Canada, and he's extremely successful capitalist. He's made scads money. He came from a pretty ordinary middle-class family, and he made a massive fortune for himself from nothing. Not like Trump, who was handed it all by his father. So he's a bit different kind of a businessman than Trump is, but he is a businessman, and I don't know, and he knows everybody involved in these kind of things. I don't know. They'll always be walking a tightrope. There's never going to be anything perfect.
No.
But it is interesting that we are trying to solicit U.A.E money while they are involved in the atrocities of of Sudan, South Sudan. Particularly, they're backing the RSF, who are especially brutal. The government forces are brutal enough. But the RSF make the Nazis look like school children.
Yeah. Okay. Moving on. Canada Post is insolvent as losses hit $1 billion.
Yes, this was the inevitability they were talking about. That the Canada Post cannot sustain itself in any other way. You could see that the Canada Post could make some money, and some whatever it was didn't make, it could be made up by the government. But the Canada Post just does not make any kind of money. It is no longer sustainable, and it's very unlikely that we will be getting postal service the same way as we've known it for years. Pretty soon that will be gone. You'll have to go to a post office box and get it, or you'll have to go to a super box. Almost every new neighborhood has a super box where you got a truck that goes to the super box, it puts your mail in there, and drives away, and it's up to you to go to that super box and get your mail. That just reduces the cost. I expect that very soon that's going to happen, because it just costs way too much. That's what they've been telling us. And you expect the government, when they're negotiating with, like the union, the postal union, that they're going to exaggerate their position, and the postal people will exaggerate theirs. But I don't think there's a whole lot of exaggeration going on anymore. It's very obvious to anybody that looks at it that the Canada Post competing with private companies and all that is just not sustainable.
Let's face it. When was the last time you went to the post office to post a letter or do anything? Probably more than a year ago, right?
Yeah, I did that last year. You're right. Yeah.
Yeah. Mine's a bit shorter than that because I've had some, business mail to send. Although 99% of all the mail we send is actually by email these days. But that said, every once in a while there has to be something that has to be delivered, delivered by mail. Nowadays, pretty well. Last time we delivered a one of these that had to be delivered to a particular person and get signed for, we did it through UPS.
Yeah, because right now, not only is Canada Post costing us too much money, the union is reluctant to work as much as they did before in trying to get a negotiation. I think this is not a ploy. You would think, oh, it's just a ploy by the government and all that. I don't think it's a ploy. I think the numbers are out there for the Auditor General and everybody else to see that Canada Post is hurting so bad that it cannot compete. At one time it was the boss of the walk. Canada had a great postal system. You could count on it. During Christmas time, the mail carriers would work right to Christmas Eve, dropping off Christmas cards and stuff like that. I remember one guy, it was a really bad snowy day in December, around the time of Christmas, just a day or two before. And I remember a mailman coming to our door like about at 8:00 at night, dropping off mail. And it was like heavy snow. That was one of those times that it snowed heavily in December, and he was tromping around. But they were also getting a shot of liquor once in a while at every house, or a cookie or something like that. Quite often, that somebody would give them a shot of liquor. Here, you want this? And the postman more than happy to stay out all night, door to door.
Yeah. All right. So I don't know there's an easy solution to this.
You won't find that happening. And
Yeah.
that's another thing that's dropped from the culture. Like when the mailman used to come late at night, you'd ask him if he wants a shot or something like that. You don't do that anymore. You would never do that anymore.
Yeah. Well, in fact, was a time when you knew your local postie. He was the same guy you'd had for 15 years. Less so today, right? Because it's so much of it's likely to be a contract postie as it is a normal regular guy.
Yeah. I think things changed. I remember once being in across the river in a bar. What was it? The post office or something? What was that bar over there?
So the guy who was tromping around the streets, by the way, that wasn't the postie. That was Santa Claus.
Yeah.
So
what are we going to do? So what are we going to do? My biggest concern, of course, is the employees.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, almost every one of them got on the post office. Were thrilled, tickled pink, because it was a government job, had good benefits, had good wages, had good, pension funds and all that. Now, many of them are looking at that specter. They have job skills that may not be easily transferred or readjusted to another job. And where are they going to get a job? Where is a mail carrier going to get a job that pays as well, that has as good as benefits? And you know what I mean? I could see a massive amount of buyouts. That's, I think, probably the only fair way the government's going to be able to do this. It's going to be able to, they're going to have to buy out huge amounts of their workforce. This will cost the taxpayer a lot of money in the first run, but it will limit the staunch of
the way we got Amazon. Amazon delivers to almost any door nowadays and does it pretty damn quick. Well, can you imagine turning Amazon around so that you go to Amazon, you say, I've got a letter to post, a packet to post, and it will cost you X amount of dollars, and you just stick it in your mailbox, stick it upright in your mailbox, and the Amazon guy comes and collects it. It's got an Amazon label on, you pre-printed it. Amazon guy comes and collects it. That's the type of thing that I can see we replace the post office with.
I can't see that, though. I can't see that. Because Amazon's a different individual company. I
didn't say Amazon.
All those different FedEx, etc. All the different delivery companies. They may compete for a contract to do that, but do you really think they're going to make a whole lot of money dropping off mail? No, it's a money thing. If they're not going to make money, they're not going to do it.
Yeah, it basically.
You want to send your friend a Christmas card, and it's going to cost you $10.
Yeah, you're not going to do it. I haven't sent Christmas cards in years. I generally send e-cards.
Oh, that's like an e-signature? I'm going to get AI to do it for me this year. Hey, AI, send all my friends a Christmas card.
Yeah, who are your friends?
E-card. Yeah, and then AI will say, we sent it.
Yeah. And it says the trouble is, Dave, you need a premium subscription because you've got more than 2 friends.
Yeah.
All right. Moving on. Ryan Wedding, the Canadian Olympic champion turned drug lord, is now having additional charges pinned on him by the FBI.
Yeah, he's our famous Canadian. Now, how they look, this guy is supposed to be responsible for massive amounts of cocaine going into, I think it's Los Angeles, like scads and scads of truckloads of the stuff going there and other places distributing. This guy is 6'4", 250 pounds, white guy, and he lives in Mexico. He's got to stand out like a sore thumb, and they can't find him.
Yeah.
him, his wife, and everybody's all being involved in this and money laundering and all that. This guy's a supervillain. Seriously, he was an Olympic snowboarder. He was really good at it. He didn't win any medal or anything, but he did. I don't know. He competed. He competed with the world's best snowboarders. Then he gets involved in the cartels and the business of that. They've got a $15 million purse on his head.
Yeah.
The U.S. does $15 million. And they're looking everywhere for this guy. And they can't find him.
Yeah.
They can't find him. And the heat's been on this guy. Like it comes into the news every once in a while. It was last year and the year before that. Ryan wedding this, Ryan wedding that. And now he's back at the top again, this time because Bondi and Patel are zeroing in on him from the States. But I'm not so sure they'll get this guy. I mean, the heat is on him terrifically. But like I said, he's a fair-skinned, 6'4". He's got to stick out like a sore thumb in Mexico or any of the other cartel countries because mostly the people there are well under 6 feet tall. They're lucky if they're 5'5", Yeah. And they in places like El Salvador, Guatemala, Nicaragua, they're not very tall people all in all, and particularly Mexico. So, and he's white, and so he'll be 6'4", white guy. He's got to stick out like at 250 pounds. He's got to just like, how can you hide this guy? But he's somehow being.
He's got drug lord connections. That's basically it, right?
He's got something, but he is like the supervillain, like this is right out of James Bond. Like they've been looking for this guy forever. So you got this Olympic athlete that starts to break bad. He starts breaking bad, and he breaks bad in a big way, and he becomes a drug lord. And now, not only that, he's being accused of having one of the witnesses against him assassinated, an FBI guy, an FBI informant or agent. I think it's an informant, but it might be an agent. In fact, his lawyer has suggested to him that, if you get rid of this guy, a lot of your problems will go away. The guy just got killed. He got murdered. So that's why the FBI are after him. But they would be after him anyway. So the big...
Yeah, but he's been on the run for a decade now.
Yeah, the press conference that they've recently had about him, I think it's sort of to... I don't know. I expect they're going to narrow things down on him. I think that's why Patel and Bondi have made a press release about it, because they need a win. They need a win in a big way. They're losing all over the place. They're losing with the Epstein files. They're losing with the court cases that got going on. It's a big mess down there. They need a win, a big time win. And Patel is not looking too good these days. He needs some kind of diversion.
Well, and the next story is also involving Patel. I look at Patel and I have to wonder, is he the token the token person of a non-white origin in the Trump government who's you see, we're not racist?
I'm not so sure it's the tokenism, but he has made it very, very clear that he can be the number one sycophant you need. He wrote a child's book. Where King Donald overcomes Queen Hinton or something, or Hilton or so, or that, and that Cash Patel himself was Cash the Wizard, who saved the day, who saved King Donald. Seriously.
Yeah, what a heap of junk. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh God, that's so embarrassing. And yet in MAGA, he's not that popular because he's an Indian, and there's a huge amount of racial prejudice in MAGA. When he posted Happy Diwali, He got rained on by "Get out of here, you Indian immigrant. We're all Christians here. We're Christians, not Hindu bastards," and that kind of thing. And the same thing happened to Vivek Ramaswamy when he's trying to make inroads in the Republican Party too. And they're hitting him with, "Hey, you're not a Christian guy. You don't belong here. Get out." Well, that's the mega bases hitting him with that.
Yeah.
So these guys are trying to make inroads, and not that they're not capable. I think Ramaswamy seems to be a very capable, intelligent guy. I don't know where his ethics lie, though. And Patel, too, seems to be anyone who's been able to wiggle and worm their way up the ladder like that. He must be pretty smart. But ethics, I don't think he's got much. I mean, we see this, are we going to go? The complaints about Patel is that before last year, he would complain vehemently about the FBI boss using private jets or government jets to fly around. And he would go on and on about how they're flying around on government jets and how costly.
What's he doing now?
Well, what's he doing? What's he doing? Yeah. Almost every day there's an article in the paper about him flying around with his girlfriend to go to a UFC fight in a government plane. He's doing exactly even more than he complained about his previous director. The previous director, Kash Patel said the previous director had at his fingertips everything you needed to know about the Epstein files, that they were hiding it, the FBI director was part of the cover-up, and yet when he became FBI director, suddenly nothing to see here.
Yeah.
So the hypocrisy of Patel is insane.
Moving on. Former Trump official says that FBI Chief Kash Patel makes him fear for the government.
Yeah, well, this is what I was doing. I was just kind of sojourning from the last article to this one, and so you put the article in there. What do you think is?
Well, I get that. Basically, I get there's probably a current generation of fear within America for the government. I don't know that necessarily Kash Patel has made that any more dangerous as head of the FBI.
The problem is that he licks the boots of Trump, and this is the biggest problem for Trump too. And we have to point this out. When Trump says something and everybody says yes, you're right. If Trump doesn't have anybody that speaks honesty to him, then he's going to make all kinds of unnecessary mistakes because no one's telling him the truth. And you got a guy like Kash Patel or Bassett or Ludkin, they're going to tell him anything he wants to hear. I mean, he's just like a communist dictator. He might as well be Brezhnev. When Brezhnev says, well, how are the harvest this year? No one wants to tell him that's bad, so they lie to him and tell him it's great. And then he makes plans based on that. And this the same thing is happening to Trump right now. He's surrounded by people who believe that they have to tell him everything he wants to hear and do everything he wants without actually standing up to him and say, look, that's a bad idea. You hired me to tell you, and part of my job here is to tell you what's good and what's bad, in my opinion. Kash Patel won't do that. What he's doing, basically, he's firing a lot of people that Trump wants fired. Now, when the FBI assigned people to the insurrection, what you might call the insurrection, or whoever you call the riots on Capitol Hill, the FBI assigned agents to that.
Yeah.
And those agents went ahead and did their job according to their assignment. But when Kash Patel comes in and he sees all the people who worked on that case, he fires them, gets rid of them. And he tells them, it's not up to me. It's my boss. Like it's DJ up top, DJP wants you gone. So I got to do it. I got to keep my job. That's the only way I can do that. If it was up to me, I probably kept some of you. You see what I mean?
Yeah. I know.
you can't have a puppet master if you're the FBI chief. If you have problems with your boss, the Trump or whoever the president, they can get rid of you. But what the president normally wants from the director of the FBI is some kind of honesty of what's going to happen. But Kash Patel won't tell him that. Kash Patel will do what he asks. So, and then he goes around and just does hypocritical things, like I've mentioned before. He said that the FBI director has all the files and can distribute them at a snap of a finger. That was in 2024 when he said that. And now that he is the director, nothing to see here. I'm not going to do anything. I'll give you some excuse why I can't do that. The same thing with the jet flights. He's flying his high-profile girlfriend all over the place, going to U.A.E fights and everything else. That was his huge complaint against the previous director, and yet he's overdoing it big time.
Yeah.
So, Kash Patel, this guy, the commentator feels very much threatened about what's going to happen to the FBI. You've taken people off of really, really sensitive criminal matters and put them onto immigration matters.
Mm-hmm.
Really, like immigration matters. He even claims he has some of the FBI agents out there trying to doing drinking while driving arrests out in the city streets. And he's reduced the requirements of the FBI agents. And this is a big deal. FBI agents have to be college graduates, and they have to go through an extensive course after that. If they are selected, then they have to go to an extended course. Kash Patel has pulled those qualifications. You do no longer have to have a college education, and you do not, and the amount of training you have is much reduced now. So you're looking at agents that have a lot less qualifications, a lot less quality.
That's real bothersome because of the fact you don't know, agents. The FBI have got some of the most. They've done a lot of research in building their organization. For example, the behavioral science unit is well known for looking at types of serial killers, etc.
Well, let's put it this way:
if they break that up, what do? They lose expertise.
The FBI is not just a police force in any other way. The FBI has scientists. It has accountants. It has bankers. It has economists. It has all of those things, all of those sophisticated things. You can imagine the different kinds of crimes that are out there. I mean, they're not chasing John Dillinger.
These are high specialists.
They're after cartels that have sophisticated ways of sneaking money in and out of the country, right? Yeah. They're gonna have to find somebody with the computer smarts to follow that kind of thing.
Exactly.
They're going to have to find a banker, somebody who knows something about banking, can understand how they're manipulating the bank system. Yeah. All other things. And if Kash Patel is taking them away from those kind of work jobs and setting them on to immigration things.
Another example, my example of that was Behavioral Sciences Unit, which is well known for looking into serial killers, etc., etc. They've developed like 50 years of actually probably 80 years of understanding of, that type of situation.
Well, yeah, but when it comes to money and how the United States is threatened from the outside, I mean, they'd have to work with the CIA on this one too. So the FBI is internal security services, CIA is external, but a lot of times they overlap, and it's very sophisticated ways in which people commit crime. So you could talk about the serial killer, you could talk about that, and yes, the FBI would be very important in investigating in this and that and the other kind of thing of that kind. But when you're coming to mega crimes, mega crimes where you have massive money moving around that's illegal, dark money, laundering money, things of this kind that can really upset the balance in your economy. So there's very important things that are happening here. And the FBI agency is a very sophisticated, high-end agency. Each different FBI agent probably has a great deal of pride in what they do, because the demands on them will be the demands of their intellect. So they have to be a college graduate. They have to do these extensive courses, and quite often they have, like I say, there are economists, bankers, mathematicians, computer scientists, and all other things like that. So when you think of that kind of thing, and then you take them and you take them away from that kind of a job, and you send them onto the street to find illegal immigrants.
Yeah. Hardly what they were trained for, right?
And you reduce their skill levels.
Yeah.
And the reason why Kash Patel is doing that is because he does not have the kind of skill levels that his ordinary everyday agent has. He doesn't have those skill levels.
Yeah. Well, he's as an FBI, as a head of FBI, he's actually implanted rather than added from grown from within.
Yeah, he's an administrator.
Yeah. All right, moving on. There's accusation out there that extortionate tickets and matches are likely to be moved at Trump's whim in relation to the upcoming World Cup next year, which is causing a lot of concern. And the reason that they're looking at moving matches is that one of the things that that has been said by the we'll get to that one another point, Rick. One of the things that has been said about by Trump in the last few days has been, we can't allow you to go ahead with games in this particular city for security reasons.
Yeah, it's Trump's playing the big bad orangutan again.
Yeah,
I'm gonna, you can't go to the blue states and you can't go to the blue cities, because they're too dangerous. So maybe we won't let you go there. And FIFA, the guy that's running FIFA, he's got no spine at all. He just kind of giggles away and says, "Yes, sir. Yes, sir. 3 bags full, sir." He may as well be a Republican. He's doing the Republican dance. "Yes, sir. Yes, sir. 3 bags full, sir." Well, anytime Trump opens his mouth.
The point being is these venues that they've got around the country have been selected by World Cup officials based upon many criteria. And in fact, actually, the home ground of Toronto FC is actually being upgraded to add 17,000 seats to it. During the course of the World Cup, and so that's going to change a whole lot.
Well, he wants to cut out Boston in the first place, right? The White House cameras last night might need to draw the line at Boston. That's what he's saying. So, the FIFA guy, Infantino, or whatever his name is, I keep mispronouncing it. Infantino. Yeah, I was right.
Yeah, Infantino. Yeah.
Yeah, so I was right. So he's just kind of smiling and bowing and looking like an obsequious servant of Trump, which is a really bad look. There's nothing wrong with Boston. There's nothing wrong with LA, but Trump is paying politics. And
in fact, actually, both Boston and LA are well known to have the stadiums that are needed for the Cup.
Yeah, and Trump is playing politics, saying they might not be safe enough for the venue, right?
I would call BS on that.
Well, of course, but that's what he's doing.
Yeah.
But the problem is you've got this FIFA FIFA stooge, Infantino, walking around. And remember, Infantino, what is a famous quote by Infantino? It's very clear, claimed FIFA cue ball. Okay, and anyways, it's very clear that politics should stay out of football and football should stay out of politics.
Yes.
Now he's just groveling at the feet of Trump because Trump whimming, oh, I don't want Boston, I don't want LA. He's playing politics with FIFA.
Well, these cities were picked for a purpose. Boston is one of the most, Boston is well known to be one of the most sports crazy cities in the world.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
You're not going to run a World Cup in America without running chunk of it in Boston, because there are already soccer nuts in Boston. They've had soccer in that city for a long, long time.
Yeah, well,
they may not have an MLS team. Well, they do have an MLS team, yeah.
Look, they've had how many hockey teams have been in the U.S. since the 1920s? The Boston Bruins have been there, I think, since 1922.
Exactly. Yeah.
They're 100 years old.
Boston, look at the Red Sox. It's like, you're talking about a sports crazy city here, right? There is no danger. Let's be very, very clear. There is no danger from anybody going to Boston to go and watch sports.
Well, that all aside, what is the politics? Why is Trump doing what he's doing? That's what I want to know. And why does Infantino not sort of standing up?
Get on with it, Trump.
Yeah. So these are things I don't understand. And of course, I've been opining on it, and I really shouldn't have been opining as much as I did, because I don't know the source of Trump's. I know that he hates people, he hates cities, and he hates places, and he likes to get revenge on them. He likes to do that kind of thing. He likes to put 10% more tariffs on Canada because we ran an ad, because Doug Ford ran an ad. So out of his whims, he says, okay, 10 more for you. You're bad. Instead of just laughing at it.
In my view, if FIFA are going to do something, the one thing that they do is USA is qualified. I wish the US players well in the competition. If you're going to do something, take the matches away from the US, redistribute them across mainly Mexico and Canada. Mexico has more larger stadiums than Canada does, but we can go to some non-soccer cities in Canada, and maybe, because, for example, Calgary Stampeders playing a good large size field. We can utilize that, camp onto things like that.
Well, here it is. Trump's, I don't know, he's playing politics big time here. Trump's declaration that the games could be moved from host cities for next summer's World Cup if the U.S. president, he himself, right, not consulting anyone, just him himself, president, deems there is a problem with security, or that the cities are non-compliant in some other way. In practice, they seem to mean if they're run by a Democrat / communist, they're run by Democrat / communists. Amazingly, though, it says in the article that the FIFA president will gladly allow his tournaments to be held in any old violent autocracy, but for the purpose of the White House cameras, at least might need to draw the line at Boston. So that's quite a thing. The World Cup will go to Doha, which is an autocracy. Qatar, which is an autocracy. Yeah. Or that was where the Olympics were. Yeah. So the World Cup can go to any country that's an autocracy. Yeah. And yet like whatever the autocracy is, or whatever the government is, it's supposed to be about athletics, not politics. And yet here he is, he's coming into a democracy, and the president's telling him what he should be doing and what he shouldn't be doing, when
on
due
basis
to
of a
politics
on
for,
the basis of city
political
politics. Yeah.
gain.
And by the way, that's now that lie right on the head. You know, are there any communists who are Democrats? Unlikely. Are there any Democrats who are communists? Unlikely as well. I think that label communist is being thrown out there without a modicum of understanding of what the word means, let alone even a McCarthyite understanding of what the word meant.
It's the boogeyman. It's the boogeyman.
Yeah.
Say communists, say like they got communists and socialism. Nobody ask somebody that's afraid of communism, socialism to define it. They can't define it.
Yeah.
They just say, "Oh, that means they're going to take all my money and give it to someone else." No. Social. They're worried about Mamdani in.
Yeah.
They say, "Oh, the country's going to turn and look like Venezuela." No. Social Democrats run the countries of Norway, Finland, Sweden, and Denmark, and Iceland, and they're pretty good countries. So the very idea that nobody knows what they are, they throw around words like Islamo-communist. They used to do Islamo-fascist, remember? But they're not doing Islamo-fascist anymore because the Republican Party is being accused of being a fascist, moving towards fascism. So they don't use Islamo-fascism anymore, what the Republican Party used to do and Fox used to do. Now they're doing Islamo-communist. They don't have a clue what it is. No. And most of the people who get scared by it, it's a boogeyman term. Fox says, "Oh, you're going to turn into Venezuela." Well, I could see Trump wanting to have all the power that Maduro has, but in his country, but he's pretty far off from being anything like that. I could tell you.
Yeah, this is just
the ignorance is unbelievable. The American, like, I was seriously, like, and what the BBC did to Trump there that time was seriously idiotic. I mean, I complain about, like, Fox, you can't nothing that Fox is true. CNN, you maybe half, if you're lucky, when it comes to geopolitics. BBC just kind of humiliated itself terribly when it tried to pull off that stunt it was with Trump's speech there before the riots. You can't trust any of these outlets anymore at all. It's just seriously bad.
Well, this stuff.
But what they all do very well is they like to scare you. Oh, there's going to be a communist. Oh, there's going to be a fascist. Blah, 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 blah. And everybody that's watching Fox or CNN are all getting all excited and getting all terrified because they don't know what a communist is. They don't know what a fascist is. They don't know what a socialist is. They haven't got no idea at all. But it is a boogie word. If you vote for a Democrat, your country's going to look like Venezuela.
Well, go and educate yourself, about what those terms mean. Right? Oh, God. Don't use them willy-nilly where they have no function.
Yeah. Communist.
Yeah. Well, okay. So I'm
serious. The average hillbilly's looking under his bed trying to find at night. He gets scared, looks under bed and see if there's a communist under there.
You were a union leader, Dave.
Yeah.
Well, you were a communist.
Darn right.
Right. Hey, you know how that has been used over and over time, right? Just because you were standing up for your union members' rights makes you a communist automatically, right?
That's right. And not only that, we all carried around pictures of Joseph Stalin and Genghis Khan and all the great socialists in history, the great communists.
Did you have Marx in that photo album?
No, but we go to union meetings and throw darts at dartboards with pictures of Mother Teresa on them, because that's the kind of evil people we were.
Yeah, like I believe that. But you said you had to sign you had to sign you had to sign something to say that you were not a communist.
Yeah, that's right. It was very old fashioned. And as a matter of fact, the business agent kind of had to apologize to me. You got to sign this. I mean, this goes way back. So way back when the union was first made, it's aligned with the United Carpenters and Joiners of America, which is probably the oldest union in North America. It goes back to the late 1880s and early 1890s, and we're associated with them. But somewhere along the way, they came up with you had to swear in as a union member, and of course, people were worried about unions being communists and that back in the day.
Yeah,
So
back in the McCarthy era, probably.
No, it's before that. It's before that.
Right.
Was back to the first Red Scare. The first Red Scare was around 1917, 1918, okay. 1919, 2020. That was the first Red Scare that we don't usually talk about because McCarthy kind of made everybody forget about it. But the first
McCarthy made that look like a walk in the park.
Yeah. Well, the first Red Scare, the unions had to make sure that everybody knew that they weren't communists, like communists, like there was like Bolsheviks, that kind of communist. Back in those days, people understood the differences in the communist movement and the socialist movement back then. So you had to sign a paper that you weren't a Bolshevik, and I had to sign my my introduction into the union, and I had to swear to them that I was not a communist or a Bolshevik.
and then you had to go look up in the dictionary what a Bolshevik was, what the meaning of Bolshevik was.
I already knew. I knew. I knew what a Bolshevik was. You know, I went past grade 9. I knew what a Bolshevik was. Yeah, that's what made me laugh. I had to laugh. Like the business agent said, look, there's language in here that goes way back. And so I had to swear, in this document that I had no Bolshevik ties or connections.
Yeah.
And Bolshevism was long dead by the time that I signed that. Bolshevism wasn't even a player in the communist world at all after that. But still, you could tell the language came back from the 1920s.
And such inane, such such old stuff.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it myself when I signed it. Like, don't these things get updated once in a while?
Yeah.
But they don't make you sign it anymore. They've got it out of the way.
So let's just finish with this one. The scowl is mainly gone.
Yeah, I don't know. That article looked pretty old to me. Was it old or new?
Well, the thing is, the article in question was basically just one from Niagara Parks, but there was talk on Facebook that the scowl, you can hardly even see what's remaining of the scowl today.
Yeah, there was a time there I made sure I went down there every couple of weeks to check on the scowl because I was bummed big time when it's gone. It's been there my whole life. Even before I lived in Niagara Falls, I remember coming to Niagara Falls when I was a kid and saying, "Whoa, what's that doing out there?" You know, and nobody will tell you. I remember I was looking at it. It was last year, and there was a young a mother and her kids there, and one of the little kids was saying something about it, and I said, "Oh, well, that." And then I gave him the story about how it got stuck there and how Red Hill kind of helped save the guys that are on it, and so on and so forth. And she looked at me as if I was telling them a big fat story. Like she had this look like, oh yeah, that really happened.
No, well,
yes, it did.
But the irony, of course, is that a couple of years ago, about 3 years ago, when it moved off its mooring, where it was more or less had been for the most of the 100 years. It moved about, I suppose, about 20 meters. And then started to break up, didn't it?
I don't know. I know if it goes over the falls, If it's possible, Gary will pull it out. Gary will save it.
Yeah. All right. Just really wanted to cover that one in brief. Right. We got one comment. Does that mean no bullshit?
No bullshit. Does that mean more? In what capacity? Did I miss something there?
I don't know. I'm presuming the scale, but I don't know what Rick is talking about there. Okay. All right. Well, thank you, Rick, anyway. Yeah, and I just wanted to didn't want to miss that story. It was only 2 minutes worth anyway. So, because I've been expecting for about the last 3 or 4 years that the scale would be gone almost every time I go down there.
Yeah, so did I. But it is steel, so every piece of it will just kind of sink down another and lodge in somewhere else. There might be a hunk of steel in there, barely visible for a long time yet to come, but eventually it will go.
Yeah, I suspect there's bits broken off of this. There's been chunks breaking off this the last 5 years anyway.
Yeah, when then we were looking at, like, there was a wooden ship that got stuck in there for stuck somewhere coming close to the falls for 100 years or more too. But of course, it just dissolved and it didn't exist when we're around, but it had been around for about 100 years in the upper river. And it just kind of disintegrated over time.
Well, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And you see a lot of this, there's a lot of water pounding on it, hour after hour, and it doesn't stop.
No, and if you look at the old photographs of when Red Hill was out there on that rope trying to fix up the ropes so that they could get those guys out of there, out of the scow, the 2 guys that were in the scow, you could see that the volume of water going to the falls back in those days was a whole lot more. That's why I looked at that photograph. I says, wow, that looks like, and then of course it makes sense because a lot less of the water was diverted for hydropower back in those days, obviously.
Yeah.
1918. Some, but not only a small amount of the water was diverted back at that particular time compared to today.
And in the summer, it operates at about 70% of what it used to operate at, and in the winter it operates only at about 25% because it's all diverted down the canals,
to the reserves, to the reserves, to the tunnels and the hydro canals.
Yeah. All right. Okay. So I don't expect the scow will last too much longer.
Yeah. I don't know. It hung in. I expected it to be pretty much disintegrated by now. After it made its shift around Halloween a couple of years ago, but it's still hanging in there. That old girl is tough.
Yeah. And, it'll be gone visibly, I think, but it will still be underneath the surface.
That's too bad. They're going to just open up that. They're soon to open up that power station there right on the river, make it fancy. And too bad that scow wasn't still there because they could tell the story over and over again about what happened. It'd be kind of a thrill thing.
Yeah.
Without the scow being there, it's kind of hard to imagine that.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Time to say goodbye, I think.
Without further ado, I bid you adieu. I remind you of Gaza. There's a lot of issues there. Oh, God, I don't know. I looked into it a little bit here and there, and there are as many opinions as there are people.
All right. Thank you.